Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into something pretty mind-boggling. Today, we're tackling parallel dimensions.
All right, sounds fun.
Yeah, we'll be exploring what they are, different types, and maybe even how we could access these other realities. I found some interesting stuff for us to dig into.
Oh, yeah. What have you got?
Well, there's this article, Exploring Parallel Dimensions, from the Enlightenment Journey blog,
Okay, interesting.
and a question on the Physics Gurus Q&A forum about different parallel universes and how they fit into multiverse theory. Should be a wild ride.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh.
Not every day you get to ponder entire universes right alongside ours.
Exactly. So, let's start with the basics. What's this whole multiverse theory about? What makes scientists think there might be something to it?
Basically, the multiverse theory says our universe, with all its stars, galaxies, planets, isn't alone. Like, there could be tons of universes existing all at the same time, forming a multiverse. And this idea comes from different areas of physics, cosmology, quantum mechanics, all that.
So, our universe is just one bubble in a cosmic bathtub filled with a zillion other bubbles, each a separate universe. Wild, right?
Pretty much.
But how does quantum mechanics connect to all this multiverse stuff?
That's where things get really trippy. Quantum mechanics, the study of the super tiny world of atoms and particles, well, it brings in some seriously strange stuff,
Oh, yeah. Like what?
like superposition. Imagine a single particle existing in multiple states at once, like a spinning coin being both heads and tails at the same time. That's superposition.
So, you're saying a particle could be in multiple places or states at the same time?
Exactly. Now
Hmm.
bring that back to the multiverse. It suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event could split reality, creating a brand new universe, like a choose-your-own-adventure book, where every choice makes a new branching storyline.
Whoa. So every time a particle chooses a state, a new universe pops up. Mind-blowing. But the Exploring Parallel Dimensions article goes into different types of parallel universes. What can you tell us about those?
Okay, so the article outlines some cool possibilities. One type is the mirror universe, almost identical to ours, but with little differences. Maybe the laws of physics are a bit different, or historical events went down differently. It's like looking in a mirror, seeing a slightly changed reflection of yourself.
So in a mirror universe, I might finally be a rock star.
Uh-huh, maybe. But then you have branching universes. These are all about choices and consequences.
Oh, right, right. I remember that.
Every decision you make, every path you don't take, creates a new branch of reality. It's like a giant cosmic tree, each branch a different timeline with a different version of you, having made different choices.
So there's a universe where I'm a chef instead of a podcast host. Wild.
Exactly. Endless possibilities with those branching universes. Then there's bubble universes. Imagine self-contained bubbles in a huge multiverse, each with its own unique physics and constants.
Separate mini universes, each with its own bubble of reality.
Precisely. And the most mind-blowing, the infinite universes idea. Every possible version of reality, every single permutation of events and outcomes, all exists somewhere in an infinite multiverse.
Okay, now my head's spinning. So there's a universe where I'm an astronaut, another where I'm a concert pianist, and maybe one where I'm both.
It's a lot to take in, right?
Yeah,
But that's what makes the multiverse so captivating, the sheer scale of it.
definitely. But let's get to the juicy part. The Physics Gurus Q&A forum post mentions accessing these parallel universes. How realistic is that?
Well, it's all theoretical right now, but there are some cool ideas floating around about how we might, one day, interact with these other realities. One is quantum entanglement. This is when two particles are linked, even across huge distances. Whatever happens to one, boom, it instantly affects the other no matter how far apart they are.
Like some spooky invisible connection between them.
Yeah, kinda. Some theories say we could use this entanglement to make a bridge between universes, send information, or even travel between them.
Whoa, seriously? That's amazing. But the article also talks about wormholes, those swirling tunnels in sci-fi movies.
That's how they show them, yeah. But wormholes are theoretical shortcuts through space-time, predicted by Einstein's theory of relativity.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you fold a piece of paper, so two distant points touch. That fold is like a wormhole, a tunnel connecting those points.
So instead of traveling through space the normal way, we could zip through a wormhole and pop out in another universe.
In theory, yeah. But creating and stabilizing a wormhole would take insane amounts of energy and technology we don't have yet. Still a fascinating concept, though.
Definitely. And then there's consciousness exploration, which sounds a little more out there.
Yeah, that one dives into the idea that our minds, our consciousness, could actually perceive other dimensions. Like, Could altered states of consciousness, maybe deep meditation or lucid dreaming, allow us to glimpse or even interact with parallel realities?
So instead of building some crazy machine or using quantum stuff, we could access other dimensions with our minds.
It's a cool thought. But remember, we're deep in speculation territory here. There's no scientific proof for any of this, at least not yet.
It's definitely a lot to think about. But before we get carried away with dreams of interdimensional travel, what about the risks? Stepping into another reality sounds cool, but wouldn't it be dangerous?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine bumping into a whole different set of physical laws or beings with unimaginable powers. It's like stepping into the unknown with no map and no guarantee you'll come back.
Yeah, that's a bit unsettling. What specific dangers are we talking about?
Well, there's temporal displacement, getting lost in time and space while jumping between realities, maybe never finding your way back home,
Hmm.
or reality distortion coming back to your own dimension, but with your perception permanently messed up, feeling like a stranger in your own life.
That's some scary stuff. Sounds like exploring parallel dimensions could really mess you up, like psychologically and all.
Yeah, not something to take lightly.
Huh.
Even just facing the vastness of the multiverse could trigger an existential crisis. Imagine realizing that everything you thought you knew about reality is just a tiny sliver of what's out there. It could shake your sense of self, your purpose, everything.
You're right. It's like living your whole life in a small town, then discovering a whole world outside. Must be disorienting.
For sure. Exploring parallel dimensions means facing the unknown.
We need a little from this mind-bending talk. How about we check out how pop culture has portrayed parallel dimensions, like Stranger Things or The Matrix, that kind of thing?
Sounds like a good way to lighten things up. Seeing how creative minds have imagined these concepts is always interesting.
Exactly. We'll be back in a bit to dive into the world of pop culture and parallel dimensions. Okay, so we're back. And before the break, we were about to jump into pop culture. It's amazing how often these parallel dimensions pop up in movies and TV shows and books.
Right. It's like we're all fascinated by these what ifs of reality. What if there's another world out there? What if we could just step into a reality where everything's totally different?
Totally. And one that comes to mind right away is Stranger Things, with that creepy upside down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like this chilling parallel reality,
Hmm.
full of weird creatures and that dark, unsettling vibe, plays on our fears of the unknown, what might be lurking just out of sight.
For sure. A great example of how they use parallel dimensions to create suspense and intrigue. And speaking of other worlds, there's C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia.
Classic, right? Kids stumble into this magical world through a wardrobe, Narnia, with
Hmm.
talking animals
Right.
and mythical creatures and those epic battles between good and evil.
Yeah, it's a classic portal fantasy,
Yeah.
a great way to explore escapism and the power of imagination. And of course, we can't forget The Matrix, which kind of took the whole parallel reality thing in a different direction.
Oh yeah, The Matrix really messed with people's heads. That simulated reality, feeling totally real to the people trapped inside, it makes you question our own existence. Like, what if what we think is real isn't actually real at all?
Definitely makes you think. What I find interesting is how differently they portray these parallel dimensions. Sometimes they're dark and dangerous, like the Upside Down, sometimes magical and wonderful, like Narnia, and then sometimes they make you question reality itself, like The Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. It shows how flexible the whole concept is. Parallel dimensions can be a way to explore so many different themes and emotions. Fear, wonder, even philosophical stuff about identity and how we see the world.
Okay, so we've had some fun with pop culture, but let's get back to something we talked about earlier, those interactions between parallel realities. We went over the different types of parallel universes, but could these realities actually affect each other?
Now that's where things get really interesting. And I'll admit, even more speculative. We're getting into theoretical physics here, even philosophy. But the idea that events in one universe could ripple out and affect another, that's a fascinating thought.
So it's not just that these parallel dimensions exist separately. There could be some kind of connection, some bleed through between them.
Some theories say exactly that. Imagine if choices in one universe could change the fabric of another, even subtly. Or maybe events in one reality create echoes or resonances in a parallel one.
Whoa, okay, so my decision to, I don't know, have cereal for breakfast instead of toast this morning could have cosmic consequences in another reality.
Haha, it's a fun thought experiment.
Yeah.
Of course, we have no way to prove or disprove that kind of thing, but it is captivating, isn't it? It opens up a whole new set of questions about cause and effect, fate, free will, all that.
Makes you think about the butterfly effect on a cosmic scale. Even the smallest actions having huge, unforeseen consequences across multiple realities.
Exactly. It raises questions about how everything's connected. If our actions can ripple across a bunch of universes, that changes how we think about responsibility and consequence.
And the multiverse starts to feel less like a bunch of separate bubbles and more like a web, interconnected realities all subtly influencing each other.
Right. It's a mind-blowing concept, but it pushes us to think beyond our limited view and consider how vast and interconnected everything might really be.
Okay, I'm already feeling a bit overwhelmed by the sheer scale of all this. But before we get totally lost in the vastness of the multiverse, maybe it's time to bring things back down to earth a bit.
Yeah, you're right. It's easy to get lost in the what-ifs. Maybe it's time to tackle some of the bigger questions that come up when we think about the possibility of a multiverse.
Okay, good idea. We'll be right back to grapple with some of those philosophical questions about parallel dimensions and what they mean for our understanding of reality. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle the big questions. We've looked at the science, the pop culture, even the risks of these parallel dimensions. But now I'm kind of curious about the philosophical side of it all. If this multiverse thing is real, what does it mean for how we understand reality, ourselves, all that?
That's the real brain twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
The whole multiverse concept, it challenges so many of our basic ideas about existence. It's like finding out the ground under our feet isn't solid, but this shifting, a crazy landscape of possibilities.
Exactly. And as we were getting ready for this deep dive, a few things kept popping into my head. Like, if there are infinite universes out there, does that mean everything that could happen actually does happen?
Oh, that's a question that's been bugging philosophers and scientists forever. If every single quantum event leads to a split, a new universe for every possible outcome, well, that's just mind-boggling.
It's like saying there's no such thing as chance. Every path, every decision, every possibility, it's all already playing out somewhere in the multiverse.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about free will, right? If every version of ourselves is out there making every possible choice, does that make our choices here less meaningful? Or does it just mean our choices have these, like, ripples that go way beyond what we can even imagine?
That brings up another big one.
Hmm.
If our actions have consequences, not just in our universe, but maybe in tons of others, what does that do to our sense of responsibility?
That's a tough one to wrap your head around. It's hard enough thinking about how our actions affect people and the environment, here and now. But if our choices could be causing these ripple effects across a whole infinite web of universes, man, that adds a whole other level of complexity to things.
It's like, how can we even grasp the full impact of what we do if it's playing out across infinite universes? Does responsibility even make sense on that scale?
Yeah, there might not be a clear answer to that one, but it definitely shows how connected everything is. And it makes us think about the consequences of what we do, big or small, in a whole new way.
This is heavy stuff. But honestly, it's also pretty exciting to think about all the possibilities that a multiverse could hold. It kind of makes our everyday worries seem small.
I get that. It's both humbling and exhilarating to think about how vast everything might be. Even if we never actually prove these parallel dimensions exist, just exploring the idea can change how we understand reality and our place in it.
Yeah, totally. It reminds us there's always more to learn, more to discover. What we know about the universe now might just be the beginning, the tip of the iceberg.
And maybe, in a way, thinking about all these parallel dimensions can inspire us to live more fully in this reality, to appreciate the choices we make, the connections we have, the impact we make on the world around us.
That's a great point. It's like the possibility of infinite universes makes us appreciate how precious this one is.
Exactly. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into parallel dimensions.
Wow, what a journey. We've covered so much. The mind-blowing science behind the multiverse, the philosophical questions it brings up, how we understand reality, our place in it all.
Hopefully we've left you, our listeners, with some sense of wonder and maybe even a desire to keep exploring these ideas.
For sure. So keep those questions coming, keep exploring, keep your minds open to all the possibilities out there. Who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting for us in that vast, uncharted multiverse.
Until next time, keep looking up and keep diving deep.